Hi everyone, welcome to Why Rotaract, a podcast series presented to you by the Rotaract Club of IIT, where in each episode we sit with a former board official to discuss how Rotaract shaped them and the defining moments which shifted it from being just a club to much more meaningful. And today, we are more than pleased to welcome the former past president for the years 2022-2023, Rotarian Retractor Yasiru Jayatissa. Okay, all right, Yasiru. So, how do you feel about being here today?
It's definitely exciting, I would say. Had a very early pickleball session in the morning with the boys. Obviously, our own Rotaract people were there. And so I'm right after that I'm here. And I'm really glad to be around the new gen of Rotaract. I really haven't seen any of the people ever. So this is the first time I'm actually meeting all of them. Even though we have talked through WhatsApp and all that, and I have seen the great work that they do. So it's really exciting to be here early morning. And yeah, so I got a flight scheduled tonight. So I'm glad that I was able to put this in my diary just before I left. Yeah, so really excited to be here.
Awesome. So fill us up on what are you up to these days as well, please.
All right. So I officially left Rotaract in 2023. I think right after my presidency, after handing the collar to Atik. Right after the installation, I think I had my flight booked to the UK a week after. So I went there to University of Westminster to finish my bachelor's. So now I work there full time, and so life's been pretty alright, I would say, after Rotaract. I won't say that it's particularly has been good or awesome, but yeah, it's been a lot of work, keeping myself busy, and just trying to earn some money. And the money that I lost in Rotaract, by the way, I'm joking. Yeah, I lost a lot in Rotaract as well, but yeah. It's been pretty good, and it always feels good to be back, to be part of projects, and also to meet the new board of directors and also the exco who are running the club right now. So yeah, it's definitely exciting and interesting to be here.
All right. That sounds very eventful to me as well. So to start off with the questions, let's just go all the way back to when you first joined uni. All right. So in IIT, there's a whole bunch of societies and clubs to choose between. What stood out to you about Rotaract?
All right. Okay. Interesting question. So to answer this, I had to actually go back in about a few years. I would say about 5, was it, or 5 or 6? I would say. Maybe I'm kind of bad with math now. So I think it was back in 2018. So right after, I took sort of a different approach to most of the people, I would say. At least in 2018. So in 2018, I was done with my O-levels, and then I decided, all right, I want to just choose some kind of other career pathway rather than, doing A-levels and then going to government uni, staying there for 5 years until I'm old. And so I just decided, okay, just going to join a private uni. And at that time, what I saw was the best chance was IIT. No marketing for IIT. Yeah, I'm just saying. It seemed like the best option. So I did join IIT, and I remember it was in Ramakrishna building at that time. That was the main hub for IIT, and I remember being in the opposite side of Ramakrishna. There was a hall. I don't remember what the name was, but it was packed with I would say about 300, 400 people. That's including parents, not just students, by the way. I was there, and I remember there were sessions going on, and then we came to clubs and societies. And at school, I was not really a very active kind of person when it comes to clubs and societies, or even sports. I was on and off with sports, but when it comes to clubs and societies, I was never really an active member or part of anything. So I did really want to join something and just be part of it, because if you don't do it now, when are you going to do it, right? And I already lost a couple of years in doing my advanced level, so I was I should put this time to good use. So when all the clubs and society videos are playing, I saw there was IEEE, which was a big deal back in the day, or I don't know, even could actually be now, even in IIT. But that was the mainstream club that was there. And then there was Rotaract as well. And all the other clubs, like when the videos were playing, all the other club videos, they were like just so serious and just so formal. Like, they were just telling the kind of pros and cons when it comes to this. I mean, there weren't really any cons. You don't put that on video, do you? But it was like, just pros that you get from, join the club, and, what the club is about. And, the president usually gives like a 1.5 minute kind of speech. I was bored. And I remember like just staying there and then just looking at all of it. I was like, okay, all right, maybe I'm not going to get like, like an interesting club to join to. And then there came Rotaract. I remember like, there was this, sorry, Dulisa, I mean, I'm pretty sure you're going to forget this by the time that we meet again. But I remember seeing you there. Like you were just, that was in one of our oldest HTS videos. And I remember like you being there. And that was actually in Pasanaya's year. And I remember you being that. You were like, the one who caught my eye, because I caught my eyes in like, not that way, but yeah. And when I saw you, it's like, wait, why am I talking about Dulisaya now? Okay. Cut that. Okay, not Dulisaya. But I remember like, I remember seeing in that video, like, how much fun they had. And, like the entire HDS project, and seeing that happening at Green Path. And like the amount of people that were there, I was actually mesmerized by like how could a bunch of university students pull this off, because they are like, I would say at max about 4 years older than me, and that still seemed like a big deal by then. And then watching how interesting the video was, I saw that this is not going to be just another club. So seeing that, I was like, all right, I should sign up to this. But then there were a lot of other people, like seniors, who were telling, join whatever the club that you join to, do not join Rotaract, because that will mess your studies up. But I really wanted to challenge, because in my whole school life, I'd say that I mostly did studies, so I did want to give myself a challenge. So I was like, I'm gonna give it a shot to Rotaract. And that did change my life completely. So I would say that is how I first found out about Rotaract, and then that was like the first impression that I had.
Okay, yeah. All right, sounds good. So, was there like a particular moment in Rotaract where you felt like, oh, this is not just a club, this is much more than that?
All right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, there have been multiple moments, to be honest. And I would say the first one for me was the first general meeting that I attended to. So I was in foundation year by then, and I was just 18 years old, and I would say, the youngest in the class. And I remember just like that happened at like 6:30, right after our lectures were done, and I had curfew from home. I was supposed to be home at like 8 or 8:30, because like this is like the first few years in uni, and like parents are obviously overprotective with the whole things going on. So I was supposed to be home at 8, but then I just gave them a call, and I was like, I really wanted to go for this. So because I did sign up on the first week itself, I was like, I'm just going to give this a shot. And I went for the GM, and then I remember like it happened in the Singer building. I don't think it's not there anymore for IIT, but it was like right on the side of the Gold Road, the Singer building. I remember just going there, and the whole room was filled with people that I didn't know. And even though there were like about 50 people who wrote their names to sign up on the first week of uni, there were, I would say, about 10 or 12 people from the new batch, and this GM was focused on the new batch entirely. So when I went there, like it was supposed to start at 6:30 or something, but then it never does it? So at like 7, I remember like all the exco coming in, and that's when I saw Pasanaya, Markinaya, and all the exco, Asiru, and then there was the directors and all of them as well. So this year it was Pasanaya who was the president, and I remember Pasanaya giving like a speech, and then there was Muadaya and all of them as well. They just introduced us, and I remember like all 150 people like had to just just stand up, and like one by one, and just in the icebreaker you have to like literally explain who you are, and like in the ICIT, like there's 3 questions. I think this should be the standard in other clubs as well. Just like you say your name, your age, and then your relationship status. So I remember like being in the crowd, and I said that I'm Yasiru, I'm 18 years old, and I'm single. And I remember like a whole cheer going on saying yay, and then whoever says committed, you get booed. And so no one said committed. I think there was only about like 2 people, and I think 2 of them were actually in the district, not in the district, in the director board or the exco. And yeah, I do remember that specific moment, to be honest. And then they went through the projects that they do and about the projects that they're planning on doing. And I saw that there were like really cool community service projects. And that's what caught my eye in the first place, I would say. So that was one of the moments. And then I remember right after I joined in, even though we had like a year to work in, but I was in foundation, so I wasn't really allowed from my house to just go out and just join projects. So I was not really an active member, but then COVID hit, and with COVID, like the amount of physical projects that you can do kind of got lesser and lesser to a point where there were no physical projects happening. So, but there were like lots of online projects going on, like like club service projects where you have to mingle with people. So I did join a couple of them, and I remember like when we had our first GM, sort of like the physical GM through the COVID times. I remember going to this, it was sort of like a shady place, I would say. There was like a big playground, and then it didn't really look like a place where you'd have a GM. And then I remember going in there, and there was like a plastic chair for me to sit on, and then there were lots of plastic chairs kind of like lined up. Then I remember just sitting there, and it was just like how I remembered it the first time. It was like the same kind of GM, but now it was different people who were in the helm. It was Malkinaya who was leading the club, and he was explaining, like the tough situation in the country and like, how we are trying to get the projects done. And I do remember Pratlosh coming in. Shout out to Pratlosh. For the ones who know him as DJ Losh. Yeah, so he does DJ now, by the way, and yeah, you can book him for your DJ and stuff. Free marketing for Pratlosh. Anyways, so I remember Pratlosh coming in, who was the community service director at that time, and he was going through the projects and all that he was doing. And there was this one project which caught my eye called Epitome of COVID-19. So this was like sort of when the country was getting back to the normal, setup. And I remember the project was mainly focused on helping the country sort of rebuild. So this was about like sort of handing out sanitary products and also disinfectants and stuff to schools, hospitals and all these public places. And it was a massive project, and I saw that, like they have actually covered a couple of different parts around Sri Lanka. And I saw that, and I was thinking, wow, this sounds cool. And I really wanted to be part of those projects, but with the situation I couldn't. And when the projects were going on, I was actually thinking, wow, it would be actually good and cool to be part of it. And yeah, later in time, with time, I was actually able to be part of it.
Okay, all right. So once you started getting into projects and started initiating them, was there a particular moment or a project or perhaps a person who really made you feel like, okay, this is really where I'm meant to be?
Okay. So I would say there's 2 people. I mean, there's obviously more than 2, but I like the first 2 that came into my head. I'll just talk about them, I guess. And the first one I would say is Pratlosh, like I spoke about earlier. He was literally one of the people that I idolized, I would say. Pratlosh, for an example, like he was a very hardworking guy. He was from Kandy, and he literally came for projects to Colombo, and when it was so hard to like cross borders when all the COVID thing was going on, so he was staying here in Colombo, going for projects and all that, and seeing his hard work, I actually was kind of mesmerized, because I think he was 2 years or 1 year older than me, to be honest. And I was like, wow, like I really want to do things like that, because the problems or like the difficulties that he has with projects, I don't have them. I live in Colombo. So if he can do all that, I'm pretty sure being in Colombo, I can make a much bigger impact. So seeing Pratlosh was one of the turning points for me, I would say, where I actually saw, how much Rotaract means to people, and like, how much of a impact that you can make with Rotaract. Because like usually I would say, like being a 19-year-old by that time, and seeing what the country was going through, and all that, like, as a 19-year-old, you would never think that you could make such a big impact. But seeing as a whole, as like all these 19-year-olds getting together, and people in 20s, people in their people plus 30, just getting together and trying to help the world, trying to help Sri Lanka in like the most simplest way. Like seeing that manpower put in there, that was one of the biggest impact points for me, like in my journey, seeing and being with Rotaract for all this time. So Pratlosh was definitely one of the people that I idolized, and like he literally changed my opinion about Rotaract and made me want to put more work into it, trying to help people. And so with Pratlosh, it started within me, and then I joined the director board later on after the whole screening process and all that. I joined, and then I would say out of the people who made it kind of feel like home, there were of course a lot of people who did that. And but I would say one of the people that I should definitely give a shout out to is Umeshaki. So in our whole culture, we call our president and secretary mother and father. So so the father is the president obviously, and the mother is secretary based on the genders. And Umeshaki was the secretary, so she was our board mother, and not godmother, it's board mother. But, so it was actually really cool. Like she was like 1 year older than me, I would say. But like for all our things that she was there for us. Like whenever we went through a problem, because Indura, who was my president, Induraya, he was sort of like hard on us, like how a father is. And then Umeshaki was there on the side and like just like pampering us, making sure that that we don't break with all the stress and the pressure that comes to us. So Umeshaki, you made my board journey and my Rotaract journey definitely at least a bit bearable. I mean, I might actually sound like this like a military sort of like thing. No, it was not that bad, but like being a 19-year-old, it really did feel kind of overwhelming. So Umeshaki and the entire exco Shadimaya have to talk about him as well. Like definitely two people that I really adore and who helped me in my Rotaract journey. And then and then also in my board, there were lots and lots of people like who I used to work with, Tihara, Nitila, Rumet, and everyone else. Like I don't have to mention by their names. Like all of them did make an impact in me, and like everything that I carry right now, everything that I learned in my Rotaract journey, I learned from those people, because they were the people that I spend the most amount of time with. So whoever I am right now, like I do have parts of them that I learned from. So definitely like all these people, like my board, the exco, and everyone around me, like who was helping me to get here, they were literally the small impactful bits that brought me here.
Yes, all right, that's cool. So, Yasiru, you would have heard of this quote that goes like, with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Yeah.
So, you being a past president, okay, so we know being the president is one of the most demanding positions in the club. So while you were in presidency, you were basically like juggling both studies and work,
yes,
as well as the club.
Yeah.
So how was that balance for you?
Okay, so to be honest, like I'm not gonna sugarcoat this at all, or just lie, or just say that it's freaking easy, anyone can do it. No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't even say that most people can do it, because most people can't do that. It depends on what kind of a person you are, to be honest. Like if you are good at multitasking, and if you're good at like getting parts of your brain cut into different things and just work at the same time, then this is a really good place for you. But if you are someone who likes a challenge and who wants to sort of get out of traditional studies, this would be a good place. So for me, definitely, I became a director when I was in my second year, and I did software engineering. So second year, I remember, I think we had machine learning and algorithms. They were like the hardest modules that we had in second year. And I do remember this certain scenario where both of these courseworks came together, and it was really like the submissions for these courseworks came together, and it was really hard for me to juggle both of them, because like now like in our second year, I remember like in the first few months, even though it was sort of like a hybrid structure, later on it did become more of like physical studies. So it became to a point where like I had to actually physically be there for lectures just to learn and for tutorials and stuff, which is quite normal now. But at that time it did make it kind of bit easy, being a hybrid structure. But then right now I think you guys definitely have it harder to juggle it. But in my case, in my director year, it was fairly easy. But I do remember, like, towards the end of our year, it did become an entirely physical structure. It was really tough because we were used to doing a hybrid structure, and we used to, like, on the weekdays we literally used to go out of Colombo, do projects, and then like we just learn the lectures and stuff. We just download the lecture notes and everything, and we learn later on, or we don't learn at all. And yeah, whenever there's an exam, like we take like 2-3 days, and then we all get together, like the entire Rotaract board, and then we study. We don't, but yeah. You know how studies goes when you are with friends. But it did really was really nice time. But studying and Rotaract, they don't go well together. You do have to put a lot of effort, for sure, because one thing I would say is, for me, even though I was helping the community, and that was one of my passions, but knowing that my parents spend this money on me to get a degree, I did have to put a lot of effort. So I never lost eye on the ball when it comes to studies. I always was really good with studies. And so there were some times where I had to literally, like, be out of Colombo, be in the community service director, be out of Colombo, work on projects, while I go for, like, vivas online. Where, like, I remember hunting for this white wall. So it's like, we were at one of the Imidam projects, we were doing the wiring, and there was a viva going on for, I think it was algorithms. And I remember, like, we were glad that the entire, like, inside the building, like inside the specific classroom that we were in, all the walls were, like, painted in white. So it looked like I was actually home. And I do remember, like, I took a collared t-shirt. It wasn't the Rotaract one, because, you shouldn't wear Rotaract one for viva. I did have a collared t-shirt, like a plain color collared one. So I remember wearing that. I woke up at like 8 in the morning. We were doing the wiring. And just for the viva, we put the power back on. And then we joined in. And then I was here. I was literally here, for an example. And then Rumet, for an example, like, he was right there. Like, all 4 of us were, like, just there in, like, different corners working on our viva. And then right after the viva was done, we just put our laptops aside. We're like, okay, we're going to get back to this. So there were definitely fun moments like that. But it was definitely challenging. And when it comes to my presidency, when there's more stress, it was a bit easier because I didn't have to juggle studies, work, and then Rotaract, because in the internship here, you don't really get much of study time from IIT. It's only work and studies. So as long as you can manage both, you're going to be pretty much fine. So if the second year, when I was a director, was really challenging, definitely.
Okay, all right. So based on what you said, I could totally imagine there were, like, definitely moments that put you in that juxtaposition.
Yes.
And then, like,
100%.
squeezed with pressure.
Yeah.
So in those particular moments, how was your mindset? Like, internally, how did you, like, navigate through those moments?
So it was like this, like, for an example, like that certain scenario that I gave you. I remember we were in a school close to Yapahua. I remember, like, the day before the viva, we got there and we were a bit early and we were supposed to study because I didn't know anything that I wrote for that. I think it was algorithm coursework, and that was like about a month and a half. Like, I did the entire coursework and I submitted it, and that was my own work. Even though I did it, like, it's been so long, and, like, before viva you should, like, sort of go through and, like, sort of like, understand where you did things and why you did certain set of things, because when they ask questions you have to be able to prove that it's your own work. And I remember we came to Yapahu earlier than we expected because Nithila was driving, so yeah, you always make it early. So I remember making it there at like 1 p.m. and we were like, well, okay, so we're gonna study, but that did not happen. I remember climbing the whole Yapahu fortress later that day, and then we were like so tired by the time we came back, and yeah, we did not study at all. And I remember waking up like in the morning. I kept an alarm and then I woke up a bit early because I wanted to get some study time in. And like the entire mindset at that time, I would say, was definitely like I didn't want to put my responsibility aside, but at the same time I didn't want to give up my studies as well. So, and what I like still strongly believe, and like what I did believe then and there, was that if you were to give 100% to something, you're going to get it back, right? So I did give my 100% to Rotaract, I would say. Like the mindset that I carried everywhere when I did projects and everything was that, I should always give my 100% to this, because these people took a chance on me to put me as a director, because I was not an active member, and that's definitely a lot of responsibility on my shoulders. And being a community service director, if I don't do it in this year, that means, if I don't give my 100%, that means the amount of people that I could have actually helped at the end of the day is going to be lesser and lesser. And I'm not going to go to sleep in peace thinking all of this stuff, because when I had the power to do it, when I had the manpower, when I had the influence to do things, I didn't do it, right? So that was always running in my head, in the back of my head, being a community service director. I was always like, we should always find the people. Thanks to Pratlosh, I would say, like, the guidance that we got, we were always, hunting for like the people who we can make the most impact on, which is why we went to like all corners of Sri Lanka trying to find people that we can actually make an impact to. So I remember like that was on the back of my head always, like being there. And then at the same time, I was just like thinking as well, algorithms and machine learning are like two of the hardest modules. So I do have to get good marks in order for me to get a first class. Because that was my parents' dream, and as well as my dream when I came to IIT, that I have to get a first class for my degree, and I have to study well so that I can get a good job and just carry on with my life. So both of them were, I would say, parallel. And for me, it's like switching in between. When you work on Rotaract, you work on Rotaract 100%. You give your 100%. But when it's your studies, you apply that same principle where you give you 100%, and then you switch completely to studies. So like that, we did have like time that we like sort of gave to both, just to make sure that we handle both our responsibilities when it comes to studies and the club. So I would say definitely that was my sort of mindset behind all of this for all these years. And that practice that I got from Rotaract, definitely that multitasking practice and that entire mindset that took time to like grow, really did help later in my life. Like it even helps now in my job, being away in a different country among different people, battling weather every day and all that. Like that mindset, I still carry it with me. So I would say Rotaract was a breeding ground for it for me.
So that makes me want to ask you, so circling back on that whole like mindset and growth factor Rotaract brought to you, the whole influence of the lessons you learned and everything. How did that impact you on your personal development? And like you said, even now in your career, how did that turn out for you?
Okay, so it's a bit of a funny one. Like it's like with Rotaract, you always, there are so much pros, but there are cons as well when it comes to Rotaract that people don't really talk about. One thing I would say, like when it comes to personal development, one of the biggest things I learned through Rotaract is money management. I did lose a lot of money in Rotaract because being a club, even though we are an institutional club, what most people don't know is that because we are a voluntary club, and also because there's like God knows how many clubs are there in IIT, we do get like a really small portion of money from the institute. So it's usually our own money that we put into projects. So all the projects that you see out there, whoever that's listening, it's mostly the money that is being put out by our own members and by our own directors and exco, and their hard-earned money, and also their like the effort. So definitely money management was one of the things I learned, because this was like one of like the exposure that I got through Rotaract really did help me shape up my the other soft skills and everything that comes with life. But money management is something that I really appreciate that Rotaract taught me, because I do remember like getting my salary in my internship year, and then there were like different things that I had in mind. Okay, I had to put some for savings, but at the same time I had to keep some for projects and also for my personal expenses, because in my Rotaract I used to towards the end of my director year and then in my presidency year, for the whole time I had my vehicle with me. So I had to pump in some petrol into it, because whenever we go like like different parts of the country, you have to like always keep an eye on how much money you are spending. Is it like bearable for everyone else who's coming with me and all that? So we always like used to like be very budget conscious about the things that we do. And also like when it comes to money management, there's another thing that sort of goes aligned with it: planning. So planning was also, I would say, one of the biggest aspects that came into my life through Rotaract. Because being a community service director, it's not like, I would say it's not like any other projects that happen over there. It's like, so let's say you are like a membership or growth kind of, I don't know how the titles go anymore, but we had like a membership director, which is called club service. So the projects are, I would say, like mostly short term, because it's like you come up with a project and it's sort of like, it could be like the target audience that you have is mainly within IIT or within like a certain group. So it's pretty much short term, like you just come up with a plan, and then most of the time for you to execute it, you don't really need a lot of money. It's mainly, you just have to come up with the plan on, what you're going to do, whatever the project is, and you just have to come up with like the activities or something that you do to, like keep people entertained, or to do, like to achieve whatever the plan or whatever the goal that you have with the project, right? But when it comes to community service, it's not like that. It's not like instant noodles, you have to, it takes time for you to plan out things, research, you have to find out how you're going to execute the project, why you're going to do it, and all that. And then you have to make like a timeline for each project. And you have to think, okay, all right, so in the first quarter I'm going to do this, in the second quarter I'm going to do this. And when it comes to this, there's another factor, like let's say you're doing like an environmental kind of project, you have to always think about the weather and the other factors. Being a tropical country like Sri Lanka, there could be monsoons and stuff hitting in at any time. So you really have to know when to execute a certain project, and you do have to plan accordingly. So long-term planning is, I would say, one of the biggest things I learned. Because like even when you go out of Colombo to like a project or something, you have to really think about how you're going to get there, what you're going to do, how many days you're going to stay there, how much money you're going to spend, and all that. Because you have to budget everything for each project, and you have to make sure that this is all transparent going throughout. And coming to planning, there was one other thing I would say was definitely the public speaking skill, and also like just speaking in general, and just being confident about your own freedom of speech. Because I do remember, like as I explained, money doesn't come easy for projects, for not just for us, like for all the clubs out there. But being a community service oriented club, even I would say like I'm just talking based on like the years that I spent in Rotaract, being the community service director, and then after that the president, we were definitely, I would say, heavily focused on lots of community service in those 2 years. And the money didn't come by easy, because like I said, the IIT, they also can't put a lot of money on us when there's so many other clubs going on. And there's always like some kind of a story behind each project. And community service doesn't really get you a lot of views, does it? No. Community service doesn't get you marketing. You can literally get a community service project to give you the market, but most of the time it does not happen, because it doesn't target that big of an audience. It's always like focusing on that certain part, a certain a cluster that you are targeting, right? So you have to really do like a deep research to find out money, because to execute a community service project, you do need a lot of money, and this money we used to earn through sponsorship hunting. So explaining about sponsorship hunting, this is something that I was like, that was like very foreign to me. I remember like how we trained ourselves to do it was when I was a director. I remember Indwaraya, the president, literally was like asking 3 of us to go to PETA. So he literally, it was like an open challenge for the director board, but then we took it seriously. And the challenge was, you have to go to PETA, and then you find sponsorship. Like, you just go to them, you have a file in your hand. I remember like, like it was, I think 10 or 15 rupees at that time, a file, like it's a cardboard file. And then you put all your documents, project proposals, sponsorship letters, and then your budget documents, everything into it. And then, that was a practice round for us. And this was for, I don't remember, I think it could be for HTS actually. for hot dog showdown, or I think it could be for one of the community service projects that we were struggling with. I remember it was me, Rumit, and I think it was Nitila. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think it was the three of us. And then I remember taking the file and just going to each and every single shop on Peta. We started from Main Street, went to Melbourne Street, and all like that we just kept on going. And we started at like 9 in the morning when the market opened, and then we were there until like 6. We found out, I would say, about 3,500 rupees, which was not a lot, but then the challenge was that we take a picture in front of all the shops. So we did take a selfie. We still have those selfies with us. We took selfies in front of each and every shop, like, with like making weird faces. If we were to get money, we just, put the money up. Like, that was so fun. And like finding sponsorships, and that entire thing was really difficult, because you have to actually go to people that you don't know about, that you don't know anything about, and you just have to call their landline sometimes and just be like, we are calling from this certain club, we have a project ongoing, and that we are trying to collect sponsorships for, and we just ask for like an audience. We just ask them, can we make an appointment? So we go there, and then you have to literally pitch it to a person, or it could be like a board of directors, who are like looking at you like this. And I do remember like one time that we went for a project, like a sponsorship hunt for a community service project. I'm not going to say the names of the company or anything. And I remember it was a presentation that we had to do. I was expected to do it for just one person. And when I went there, it was the entire director board, like sitting in like a U shape. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be hard. And we did go through it. It went really well. And so we were hunting for computers for Imitudama, and we got it. So that was like one of the key milestones, I would say, in my journey especially. And yeah, definitely like the speaking and the confidence when it comes to the own words that comes through your mouth. It did make a big impact. Rotaract did make a big impact.
All right, Yasiru. So, based on everything we talked about so far, there's this one thing that's missing. So now, can you share us, was this one hilariously vivid moment that still sticks with you?
Alright, okay, so when I was given the script, I actually thought about this a lot, because there are so many funny, hilarious things that happen, but I don't know if I should put things where like I expose some people. I don't think I should do it, because I think some of those people that I expose will actually might be sitting in this chair later on in this episode or this segment that's going on, so I just don't want to put them on the limelight, so I might as well just put myself, right? Yeah, but I think I would put them also on the spotlight, because why not? Okay, alright. Anyways, so coming back to it, I remember, so this was one of the hikes that we had, which was organized by the district. I think this was Uvelas visit. Yeah, so coming to that, like the ones who don't know, district actually does a lot of visits where we go to like other clubs. We sort of like do recreational visits, and we do like there's a Jaffna visit, Uvelas visit, and I think there's a southern one as well now. But then Uvelas visit was, I think, fairly new, so we didn't know that the visit actually came with a hike as well. So one thing I would say, I wasn't ready for it. I didn't even bring like shorts and stuff, but then it was really fun. It was me, Rumit, and then was it Nitila, I think? Oh no, there was Steven as well, I think, yeah, who was one of the directors. So I remember going there, and we were accompanied by the Uvelas students and all that. And then, so this was supposed to be like a whole camping kind of experience in Kabaragala. For the ones who have been there, I don't know, it's actually a really nice experience. So we went to Kabaragala, and so what happened was we had pork, and I think it was manioc and pork. So everything was cooked like, on top of the mountain and all that. I don't remember like, feeling a bit uneasy, because we had like a massive hike, and then we were supposed to sleep in a tent. So we slept in the tent. I woke up in the morning, beautiful sunrise, but then I had another problem. The manioc and the pork kind of, it was like I had to go. So I was like, oh shit, I'm on the top of a mountain. There's no toilets, nothing around. And I do remember and the fun part was like, it was just me who had the problem. And I was like, wait, so you guys ate more than me? And all I had was just pork and manioc, just like a very small amount. And I'm like, how did this just affect me? And I tried to wait. I sat on the sort of there was like a slope. I remember sitting on there, and then I just sort of just arched back a bit, and I was like, alright, okay, I'm just gonna somehow keep it because I'm not gonna poop in front of 100 odd people, right? And there's no toilets around. But then to a side, I see there was this grass which has grown so taller. So I was like, alright, I'm just gonna see if I could get in there. And I saw a couple of people smoking there. I was like, I just waited until they're just done with the whole thing, and I sort of sneaked past them, and then everyone was so immersed in taking pictures and all that. So I was like, no one's gonna see me, and the grass has grown so tall. They can't see me unless I get up, right? And the only moment I'll get up is when I'm done with it. So it's gonna be fine, right? I just went in through the grass, and then I went to a spot where, I could see them, but they can't see me, which was sort of like a dumb logic, right? Because if I could see you, I mean, it didn't come to my head because, my entire bowels and everything were full. So I'm like, I have to go, I don't give a shit. I should have given a shit, but which I do regret to this day. And I do remember going down. I think it must have taken about a minute or two, and then I got up, everything was done, the whole mission was completed. I was so happy. I got up, and then all I saw was there were about 100 odd cameras just lined at me, and there were people were zooming and some people were cheering. And so when I got up, I just sat there holding my pants, and I was just looking at them. And then so every single person who was inside the tents have woken up, and the entire district, all the other clubs, the new club, the Uhillasa club that we just visited, all of them, all the students. I think there should be at least a couple of pictures just swarming around in internet even now. One of the worst memories I have ever, but it was so hilarious. Just what you learn from that is, you never leave digital evidence out there. But that was the first and last time I ever pooped on top of a mountain. Haven't been to Kabaragala again, but whenever I go again, I would really love to see if there's any remnants of it. But that's, I would say, one of the most hilarious moments.